Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast for the 6th of June, 2024. Today's affirmation is, I have time to study English. I have time to study English. This week, we've been looking through some different elements and aspects of free access to museums and art galleries around the UK. Today, we are going to read through a news story on a related topic, which is all about King Charles's image appearing on banknotes for the first time. This is related because in the future, of course, the very first ones to be produced will end up in a museum somewhere. This is a story from the Guardian newspaper, and it says, Cash is king. Charles's image appears on banknotes for the first time. When Laurent Benson arrived in London from Belgium yesterday, on his to-do list was a trip to Threadneedle Street to exchange some old sterling at the Bank of England. Okay, so first of all, Threadneedle Street is where our bank headquarters are, and old sterling simply means an old style of money. Perhaps the ones with the Queen's head on there, or ones which were older, which needed to be changed. Little did he know that this meant he would be among the first to take possession of a new kind of banknote, the first to feature the image of King Charles, and for that reason a bundle of cash likely to be worth a lot more than the number printed on it. It's just a complete random chance, said Benson, 45, holding £50. He said he had made the journey simply because he needed the cash rather than to collect a souvenir. For me, who cares, said Benson. For what? I'm not related to the history of England. If the visit to the bank was good fortune for some, for others it was a calculated decision. Many queued outside the bank in the early hours, according to staff, eager to get their hands on the new notes. By midday, listings of authentic King Charles banknotes started appearing on eBay for double, or in some cases triple, their value. The King's portrait features on all 4 UK banknotes, the £5, £10, £20 and £50, both on the front and in the see-through security windows. Other design and security features remain the same as on existing notes. Andrew Bailey, the bank's governor, said this is a historic moment as it's the first time we've changed the sovereign on our notes. Paul Whiting, 60, who expressed great affection for the late Queen, wanted to commemorate the day by exchanging his old banknotes on the first day of issue. It's a new era. It's nice to have some new money, said Whiting, who took out each denomination but did not reach the £300 limit. The retired school teacher who lives in London intends to keep the cash and show it to his elderly parents in Birmingham. We're moving into a new era, the Charles era, he said. And the King's portrait features in all UK banknotes, £5, £10, £20 and £50. So there we are. That's a news story from today that Charles, his image will now appear on banknotes, replacing the previous one of the Queen. Now, you might not know this, but amongst the four nations, we all have our own banknotes. So in England, there's the central government with the Bank of England, and those banknotes are the most common ones. You see them all over the UK. However, we cannot forget that in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and I think Wales also, although I'm not sure about that one, they also produce their own banknotes. And that can be very confusing. Sometimes if you go to England with a Scottish banknote, then there will be a lot of confusion, or you'll simply be told it's not acceptable. Now, I have to tell you that shops and businesses in England are legally obliged to accept Scottish and Northern Irish banknotes because it's the same currency. It's just a different expression of that currency. However, because they don't recognize them, there's always a difficulty. And even though they're legally obliged to accept them, they're not allowed to give them out. So let me just recap on that. The Bank of England produces the currency for the UK, but within the UK, each of the four nations also have different expressions of the currency. So a £10 note produced in Scotland is going to look different from a £10 note produced in England. It causes a lot of confusion for a Northern Irish man to go to London because he'll simply be told, I'm sorry, but we don't recognize that banknote, so you'll need to get that changed at the bank. Everyone pays by card these days, so it's probably less of a problem. And there are businesses in the UK who just refuse to accept banknotes that they don't recognize. One notable feature about all of this is that Scottish banknotes tend to be much more pictorial. They have beautiful images on there of nature or of famous Scottish people, whereas the standard English ones have the pictures of the monarch. I would stress, though, we're not talking about different currencies here. We are simply talking about different notes, which have the same value in the same currency. If you're someone who's interested in this kind of thing, do have a look online because many people do collect Scottish and Northern Irish banknotes. Now, I have to say, even though I'm British, I've never seen a Welsh banknote. I'm not sure if that's because they don't produce them or simply because I've never been to Wales. Scottish and Northern Irish ones would sometimes look a little bit odd. So if you're ever given that in your money or in your change, you should check to make sure it's genuine. Shops in England are not allowed to give out Scottish banknotes, but they are legal. So you can spend your Scottish money in England, but you should never be given a Scottish note in your change that you get back. And that's probably why many people are not accustomed to actually seeing them. The best thing to do if you get a Scottish or Northern Irish banknote is just take it to the bank and ask for it to be changed, unless of course you're in Scotland or Northern Ireland. If you use a cash machine, a hole in the wall as we call it, to extract cash, then you must remember as well that there's a good chance you will see Scottish banknotes, and there's nothing to be worried about. They're perfectly legal all over the UK to spend, but only in their respective countries will you get them back. And of course, the main central government ones with uh, the king's picture are absolutely acceptable everywhere. So it's almost certainly worth having a look into that. Very good, very good. So there we are. That's a news story from today. Now, there were a few difficult words in this story. So let's just quickly go through it. So we already spoke about Threadneedle Street, which is where the headquarters of the bank are. Let's see. Yes, a calculated decision. That's a decision that's made after giving it a lot of thought, not just one of these decisions that we don't think about. Yes, the sovereign on our notes. The sovereign is another name for the king. And I think that's all. Denomination just means the different types of banknotes. It's a monetary term. Just so that you know, with denomination, if you go to withdraw £100 in cash, they will say, what denomination would you like that in? £10 notes, £20 notes, or just two £50 notes? What denomination do you want? And there we are. So that's a nice story from today about our king. Now, do remember that we are working our way through our weekly lesson. And today, the affirmation is, I have time to study English. And I'm just going to read through some of the notes here, which are regarding paragraph 4 of our weekly lesson. It says here, in what ways has your learning journey been revolutionary? And in what ways do you think you could have improved? How much time did you spend on your lesson this week and on this lesson particularly? What obstacles do you need to deal with to move forward? Why did you choose not to do the things that you've missed in the week? And does this happen regularly? So there's a lot to think about there. And it's not to punish you, it's just to ask the question. Could you do better? What things do you need to change to make sure that your week has a lot of English in it? Well, today I'll be going out shortly for my coffee. And of course, I'll be paying by card, so I won't need to worry whether the king's head is on my banknote or not. And besides, where I am currently, we see a lot of Scottish banknotes going around. So, of course, everyone recognizes them. Let me see what else I just want to tell you about paying in the UK. So that you don't have to worry so much. And that is, of course, when you have a credit card or a bank card, it is almost certainly the most convenient way to pay. And it stops you having to worry about losing cash, looking at money. But I do understand many of you might want a souvenir of the head of King Charles on your banknotes. But if you are carrying money, just be careful. And of course, if you get any notes that look a little bit strange to you, then of course you should check them. And if you are intending to travel to Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland, Just be aware that some coins and banknotes look different from those you'll see in London. It's not a bad thing, it's just different. So just keep that in mind. All right, that's it from me. Have a lovely day and enjoy your day today. That news article we read is from The Guardian of today's date, which is the 6th of June, 2024. See you. Bye.